Hello, my name is Robert Wolff.
And I'm Gabriel Peterson.
And you're watching Innovation Coffee. Hello, and once again, welcome to Innovation Coffee. My name is Robert Wolff.
And again, I'm Gabriel Peterson.
And you're watching Innovation Coffee. So today we have a very exciting episode for you. But as usual, I want to kind of first go through the whole spiel here. You're watching something that we like to do every single week, 5 p.m. UTC here on the ARM Software Developers YouTube channel. If you enjoy the stream, please make sure you smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we do this all the time. We bring all sorts of great content, resources, interviews, and just kind of amazing developer-related activities to the forefront here on our ARM Software Developer YouTube channel. Now, also, if you're watching live, feel free to post questions for myself, for Gabe, for any of our guests inside the chat, the YouTube chat. We are monitoring that. So if you have any questions, you can bring those. We'll make sure to get those answered. If you're watching this video on demand, you can, of course, post something inside of the comments area of the video, and we will try our best to monitor that as well. As a reminder as well, anything that we talk about during this stream, if there's any sort of URLs or links or resources that we do discuss, we'll make sure to include those in the description of the video sometime within the week after it's published. So, Gabe, I don't know, do you have your coffee?
It's down here on the floor.
Yeah, we'll do a quick cheers. Cheers. It is coffee, right? Gabe was nice enough to bring me some Starbucks. It's a mocha, what is it? A caramel ribbon crunch.
Some sugary.
Yeah, some sugary frappuccino. Anyways, today we're joined by some folks from Linaro to talk about, number one, Linaro Connect, which is about a week away. Now, last week we were joined by Sahej Sarup, who talked to us a little bit about Linaro Connect as well. Today, we're going to kind of drill in on it a little bit more, talk about some of the things that these two particular individuals are excited about regarding this event that has been, I want to say, on hiatus a bit in terms of the in-person aspect. They did some really cool virtual stuff over the last few years, but of course, because of COVID, they weren't able to do the stuff in person. They're back. The first time back in person. I'm very excited. It's going to be hosted in London. We'll comb through some of the more interesting highlights and what these folks are excited about. Now, I think without further ado, let's just bring them in, huh?
Yeah,
start talking about it. Okay, great. So we have Viresh Kumar and Daniel Thompson. Hello, welcome to Innovation Coffee. How you doing?
Greetings.
Excellent. Do you have coffees with you or tea or anything? Just water. No beer?
I can't do beer. Yeah, I'm still working.
But we're engineers. It's okay. Yeah. Daniel, I was going to say, Daniel Viresh. So I used to work with these two back at Linaro years ago. And it's such a pleasure to see you two again. And Daniel, I'm looking at your beard. We were talking about it in the green room. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. My wife would probably kill me if I let it get that big. Every now and then it gets big enough. Every now and then it gets big enough for me to like kind of put a little rubber band around it, and she just flips out. She won't look at me.
It's the start of the summer now, which is the best time to have a beard like this, because in the winter it gets trapped in your coat.
You know that the crazy thing is that I started to realize about beards is that it really keeps your face warm. Like when I trim it, when I cut it, like my face gets freezing cold, and I never really realized how much it protects your face from the cold. Anyways, let's start off with some introductions because I don't think we've had either of you on Innovation Coffee before. I'd like to hear a little bit about yourself. Talking about beards, I think I have a beard hair in my mouth. We'd like to hear about both of you, what you do at Linaro, what that kind of stuff you're interested in, and then of course, we'll kind of go into the main segment after that. So let's start with you, Daniel. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do.
Yeah, so professionally, I'm the tech lead for the support and solutions engineering team at Linaro, which is a daft name that translates to developer to developer technical support. I am the training manager for Linaro. And my team also take on small contracts for different companies because ultimately trainers and support engineers can't be credible if they don't engineer for a living. So the small contracts is what keeps my team kind of ready to take on the other activities with gravitas. So yeah, I come alive for training. I come alive for things like debugging tools. That's why I want to talk about ftrace later. BPF, that's really cool, things like that. And we're seeing a lot of that stuff coming through now. Tools are becoming quite a big deal in all sorts of areas.
Big time. Yeah. And what about something interesting about yourself? I see a guitar in the background. Are you still strumming away?
I'm still strumming away. I found that karate has pushed it out recently because training for karate is quite hard work and doesn't leave me as much practice time on the guitar as I might like. But yeah, that's what I discovered about 4.5, 5 years ago. By accident, I took my daughter to her first karate lesson. I was fully intending to sit in my camper van in my jeans and drink my coffee. And the chap who was running it said, "Would you like to come in?" And I said, "Yeah, all right then."
What belt are you now?
I am purple belt, which is 7 belts in, something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe you didn't know this about me, but I trained up all the way till second degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Very cool.
Yeah, it took me a long time. I was really young, and back when I guess I was flexible, I could not do anything anymore. But yeah, that's very cool. Thank you, Daniel. Viresh, what's up with you? How you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Origin stories.
So yeah, myself, Viresh. I started working at Linaro 10, 12 years back, I think. I mostly do kernel stuff. I'm a kernel power engineer, a senior kernel engineer at Linaro. I co-maintain CPFrec and OPP frameworks and a couple of other stuff. With Rust, I started 2 years back when Linaro started Project Stratos, where we were trying to develop VirtIO backends, which are hypervisor agnostic. So we thought instead of writing them in C, it would be cool to try something like Rust because we have a Rust community, Rust VMM, around the hypervisor stuff. So that's where I started with Rust and thought maybe it's a good time to go and present things to my colleagues at Linaro.
Awesome. And what about a fun anecdote about yourself? You like skiing? You like snowboarding, surfing?
No, I'm very much into sports. So I play a lot of sports: badminton, table tennis, cricket.
Awesome.
And many more.
Okay, cool. And so in terms of where we're all located around the world, I mean, I think most people watching this know that Gabe and I are in San Diego, California. Viresh, where are you located?
I'm in Bangalore, India.
Bangalore, India. And Daniel?
Bristol, UK, which is the bottom left-hand part of the UK, but not quite Wales.
Okay, cool. So very nice to see both of you, and thank you very much for sharing your intros. I mean, of course, I've known both of you for a long time, so it wasn't for me, it was for the other people watching it, maybe for Gabe over here. Yeah. But let's talk about Linaro Connect. So this is kind of, I think, I'm super excited, right? So I was telling Sahej last week that when I first got hired at Linaro in 2016, it was February, and literally within like the first few days of getting hired, right, fresh out of school, they fly me out to Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm just like, what the heck's going on? Never done any of this stuff before. I'm at a conference with these esteemed engineers from all around the world, and it became just a lovely experience. Linaro Connect is truly a unique event when you look at it compared to all these other events around the world. You have some engineers, these top tier engineers, focused primarily on the lower level of the tech stack. And these are just kind of the best and the brightest in the world coming together. So what are you excited about in terms of us finally getting back to the in-person Linaro Connect? Is there anything that you could tell me like, oh man, I'm just so excited about this, this, and this? And let's start with you, Daniel.
I take it beer on expenses is not sophisticated enough. To be honest, there's the degree of just coming back to see people. So I think it's been 4 years since we ran as normal back in San Diego, I think. So yeah, it's been a very long time since we've been together with our members and everything else. We've had company internal meetings. So that was after 1,000 days before we last saw each other. It's now even more than that. So first and foremost, it's coming back to see people that I haven't seen for 4 years. That's got to be the top. I'm still super excited about all the kind of morning program with the technical bits. Again, I want to catch up on what my colleagues have been doing. Find it out and listen to see what's happened in the last few years.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that I guess I didn't mention, but Linaro itself is a fully remote company. You have a headquarters in Cambridge, but fully remote companies, this is one of the main reasons Linaro Connect also existed, right? Was to bring all the Linaro employees together with the partners kind of padding it in there. And then, of course, attendees are welcome to join as well for all the technical sessions and keynotes.
I would never describe our partners as padding.
Okay. They're not padding it in there. They're part of it, right? But
They are, and they should be. They really should be. They are what's the difference between the company meeting I mentioned last year and this meeting this year. It is those partners that make it that much more exciting and interesting and vibrant.
And so on that note, I guess you did mention that there was an event or a gathering last year for the Linaro employees. Is that pretty much it that you've had in the last, like, since 2019 until now? You've had one meeting where all of the Linaro folks got together?
Yep. That's
Wow.
all. It's been a difficult time to be work from home. I mean, working from home meant my life didn't change much when COVID happened, which helped a sense of normalcy exist that wouldn't have done otherwise. So that was actually quite a benefit, because I was still working. I was still hanging out day to day with the same people that I was hanging out with. But yeah, we weren't connected to each other quite as closely as we were. The us and them start to creep in, and Linaro has been very, very absent of us and them. It's not our DNA. It's not who we are as a company. So, but you do drift when you don't see each other. So yeah.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah, and it looks like Geek Till It Hurts, who is Sahej, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, this is my first Linaro Connect as a non-Linaro employee. So even the San Diego Connect, that was my last one as a Linaro employee. Now this is my first Connect as a non-Linaro employee. So it will be different. It will be definitely interesting to see it from the other side of things.
So you're coming back from the gap, like as a non-employee,
Coming
like
back from the gap.
You didn't miss any, essentially.
I guess I didn't miss any Connects. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
My first Connect. This will be my first Connect in my home country.
Oh wow! Yeah, actually, there hasn't been
one that I've been to in the UK, and it's an hour and a half by train from my house. So that's gonna be nice and easy.
Are they going to make you commute every day?
No, they let me stay in the hotel.
Okay.
I mean, UK trains are sufficiently expensive. That's probably economically wise.
Yeah,
even with the prices we've got in our hotel.
Yeah, thankfully.
So in normal years, is this kind of like they pick a different spot in the world every time?
It used to be 2 times a year. Different spot in the world. There were some places you went back to though.
Okay.
So like we went to San Francisco several times, we went to Bangkok several times, and I think that's Hong Kong several times.
Hong Kong a couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all right, cool. Varesh, you're up. What are some of the things that you can't say the same thing Daniel said. It has to be something different.
I have to just copy what Daniel said. So it has been a very long time. Unfortunately, I couldn't even go to the last time these people met in 2022. So this is going to be my first after 4 or 5 years when I'm going to meet all the people. I did meet my teammates in Cambridge last year, but that was just 5-10 folks. So it is going to be a great event there. And it's good to see what people have been doing in Linaro, because I just don't get this feel in the virtual connects at all, that you don't get to see what people are really doing. And a Connect gives a real opportunity to connect to all the people who are in your company, and you know them for such a long time. I haven't even met most of the people who stay in India itself. So in the last 4 years, it is so difficult. So yeah, it will be a great Connect, and we are going to present a lot of stuff that we have been doing in the hypervisor side for Stratos. So yeah,
That's great. Yeah. So I guess I want to kind of drill in a little bit more on the actual schedule itself. Are there any sessions? I noticed, Daniel, you're signed up to my session, which thank you very much, the developer program introduction. Are there any sessions that you guys are excited to attend? Any keynotes in particular that you're excited to see? I mean, I guess what I could do is I could pull this up here real quick, and then maybe we could look at the sessions while you call them out. But was there any ones in particular that you've looked at right now?
I mean, I noticed that Mark Hambleton is talking about the effect of the standardized ARM instruction set and its impact everywhere else. which is really cool because the same day I'm delivering my training on the A64 instruction set. So I was quite interested to see him talk about the instruction set as opposed to the whole of the ARM architecture. So I'm intrigued what the tricks are there as new instructions are added and things like that.
Yeah, it looks like it will be a good keynote. And of course, I'm always rooting for Mark Hambleton in terms of his keynotes. I remember even back when I was at Linaro, his were some of the most exciting ones. So so cool. Yeah. What about you, Viresh? Any exciting sessions you're looking forward to seeing?
I have to be. So I haven't gone through the schedule yet, but normally the keynotes are really good, especially from people like Mark Hamilton. They are really great. So that is one area which I want to go through. And then we have a couple of team-specific stuff that will consume a lot of time, I guess, this week, because the Connect is only 3 days instead of 5, and so we have to squeeze everything in these 3 days.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Instead of 5.
Yeah. So I may have missed it earlier, but are either of you giving any talks this Connect?
So I am giving 2 of them. One is an introduction to Rust. That is not a training by any standard. I leave training to people like Daniel who are experts. So I'm just giving an introduction to Rust, which just takes people through what Rust is, how to see code, how to read the code, and start working on Rust. And then I'm running another session where I'll be presenting the work we have done in Project Stratos and Orco, where we have worked on Rust-based Vertio backends for hypervisor agnostic solutions.
Very cool. Yeah, here I see Viresh right here. So the training introduction to Rust programming language. Here's Daniel Thompson's training and tracing with ftrace.
He's a clean shaven in this photo there.
Oh, is he? Let's see.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, hey. No beard at all for anyone who wants to see that.
So just you asked for a headshot for getting the publicity for this material. I took it custom so that you could have the current up-to-date picture.
Oh, okay.
So your headshot is actually more up-to-date than the one on our website.
Oh, wow, nice. Yeah, no, that's very interesting, very good stuff. Yeah, I was noticing if I go back to the first day, right? And of course, I'm pretty sure as per usual, Grant Likely will be all over the place. But gosh, does Grant Likely have quite the story in terms of me meeting him first as fellow at Linaro Connect. Then I believe he moved over to HPE. Then he moved into ARM. And then from ARM back over to Linaro as CTO. And so this is also another really exciting thing, at least for me in terms of Linaro Connect, is kind of seeing the changes and or implementations and or things that Grant is working on as CTO of Linaro. So, I've been a little bit out of touch on this stuff. And so I definitely look forward to seeing what Grant is up to. That guy is a powerhouse. Whenever I remember the first time I ever met him, he was running back and forth, just nonstop, full of energy, doing all sorts of crazy things at the first Linaro Connect I ever attended. So I'm sure he's bringing lots of value to Linaro nowadays. Cool. So let's bring this. Oops, wrong one. Cool. All right. So let's I guess dive right into the meat of this then. So we're talking about ftrace. We're talking about A64 compilers. We're talking about Rust. Where do we want to start on this? Should we start about the ftrace stuff? Daniel, you want to kind of give us a little breakdown? Because this is a bit of a teaser, right, for your session at Connect.
Yeah. So we're doing something new at Connect, which is delivering training from our $4 training catalog. Now, this does have some consequences. It means we won't be sharing the videos to people who are not registered at Connect. So the people at Connect walking the corridors, all 301 of them, I think, will get to see it, as will the online registrants, but they won't go public in the way that, say, Viresh's presentations will, because they're stuff that we keep. But yes, that means it's a new perk. We'll be talking about ftrace, which is one of my favorite debugging tools. It's one of the ones you come back to over and over again. So I've thought about debugging in lots of different angles as we've done training on it. There are lots and lots of different debugging tools in Linux. Some are exotic. Some are the ones you reach for when you have a particular peculiar problem. ftrace is the answer to a lot of debugging questions. And it fascinates me because there are plenty of very, very talented kernel developers who don't keep it in their arsenal, don't remember that, oh, I can turn on ftrace. And I think the way I'll express it is underneath all the glue and clever pieces, ftrace is a way to get to the compiler to hook out to an instrumentation function on every single function call. So every time you make a function call anywhere in the kernel, you can hook out and hook up instrumentation. And the instrumentation you can hook on top of that is really powerful. And then there's a final little detail, which is that after you've put in the hook, you then post-process the kernel binary and take out all those hooks and replace them with no ops. And that means that the cost of turning on ftrace is nearly free, which is why the Red Hat kernel, the Debian kernel, the kernel you are running on your operating system right now probably has ftrace turned on, because it's that cheap to have it dormant. And then when you want to go deep and find out which functions are causing you problems, it is either a sneaky bit of file manipulation in debugfs, or it's a kernel command line, and all the time particular functions being called are being logged, timestamped, you can get back traces from them. And then there are then powerful debug tools constructed over the top, clever profiling, stack trace gathering, statistics, all sorts of things are built on top of ftrace. But that fundamental idea that you've got tools that hook out on every single function call is what makes ftrace exciting and powerful and really useful.
Is this one of those things that's kind of easy to jump into and get started, or is there a reason that you think developers aren't using ftrace enough?
Oh, that's a question and a half. I think it's probably the lack of education, which is why I want to come and talk about it. I spoke about it at a Connect, 2017 maybe, called Fantastic Trace Points and Where to Find Them. It's a video that I was super proud of when I presented it. It's one I now watch back and wince because it's not as good as it could have been. I've developed as a trainer a lot in the last 5 years, but it's still, I think, an interesting presentation. It's showing you that in that presentation, I'm demonstrating, for example, hooking onto the I2C subsystem. So you can touch the screen of your laptop, and on any Linux laptop that you've got anywhere, it's probably using I2C to talk to the touchscreen, the keyboard, and the trackpad. And you can hook onto those things, and you can watch your finger move around in the trace, and start to understand how the hardware of your laptop works. Now, while that's not practically useful, it's a really great tool for self-education to understand how your laptop actually copes with the keyboard and everything else. So yeah, it's a topic I've been interested in for a long time. And yeah, I don't know why it doesn't get used so much, because it is usually there dormant and ready to be used. And I think it is just a lack of understanding of how to stand it up, and the fact that it's actually quite easy to stand up. You can just send cat, redirect it to control files to turn it on. It isn't a complex endeavor, and it doesn't need a big pile of user space tools to engage it.
Yeah. I'm looking at your session, and it looks like you have 3 hours, right? So, and I just shared, the link is right there below. It's posted or on the banner there for anyone who wants to go read more about this, of course. But 3 hours, I mean, is this enough? Are you going to be giving folks more resources to go dive deeper, or?
So we for all the training that I'm doing, there'll be things like lab sessions attached. So I have to admit, I don't expect everybody to rush out of the room and do the homework that I set them. But for people who are inspired by it, for people who want to consolidate and remember what they learn in that session, then yeah, I'll be providing lab materials and exercises that they can do. Mostly set up in simulators, so that we give you a root file system, a simulator, and we get you to go and touch and feel ftrace and what it can do on a simulator. And then yeah, I'd encourage you to then fire it up on your own laptop and see what you can learn about either the x86 or ARM laptop you are running your whole life on. In my case, it's an ARM laptop, I shall add. But yeah, the laptop that you're running your life on, you can go in and find out how it works.
Nice.
Very cool.
So Robert, are you going to be hanging out at that training? Or?
I might check it out. We'll see. I mean, I'm not doing much kernel stuff, so would there be any benefits to just the average developer attending something like this, or are you? Let's just talk about what type of developers is this focused at, I guess, primarily.
So it comes from a kernel development course. So there are some assumptions that the engineers know something about kernel development, But the tracing infrastructure that Linux has does also extend to user space. It changes technologically, and the tracing mechanisms switch from using pre-existing changes to the code to using breakpoints and having the breakpoints handled in software. But yeah, you can add traces to user space tools, the memory allocator in glibc, the performance touch points in databases like Postgres are all set up so that you've got those same tracing infrastructure and can grab system-wide trace from it. So although ftrace specifically is a Linux technology, the tracing framework that it uses underneath ftrace does pervade user space. It's ultimately a tool that is beneficial to anybody who wants to see the whole system rather than a single process.
Okay.
So when you want the bigger view, you don't just want to know if your compiler has a bug in it. You want to know why, when you run this and this and this at the same time, something breaks because the timings aren't working. That's where ftrace has a good shot at helping you.
So maybe I could go. Record the session and bootleg it for you, Gabe.
I mean, I'd be interested.
I'm just kidding. All right, cool. Daniel, let's give Viresh a chance to talk about the stuff he's doing at Connect. And Viresh, did you want me to bring up your deck here? Because I see that you have an introduction to the Rust deck programming language.
So yeah, we can see the slides, I think.
Okay.
So I came across this because it's the way I work. So when I start on something, for example, when I started on Rust, it is very difficult for me to go and start reading a book straight away. I don't have enough motivation to just go and read stuff, and get from there. What I like instead is to let somebody help me, or I see a video or something where I can, quickly go through what all is available and how I can start looking into the code right away. And once I do that, after that, reading through the book is really easy for me. And so I thought that not a training, but a session where I can just give a glimpse of what Rust is, how the code is written, how it is used, and why is everybody going about it, going crazy about it. It has been the most loved language for 7 straight years on Stack Overflow. So it is a big deal. And recently in 6.1 kernel, the support is merged to Linux kernel as well. So most of the Linux kernel developers are going to see Rust code in their lifetime now. They just cannot escape it. So it's better for them to, even if they don't write the code right away, it is better if they can at least read it and understand why Rust is gaining all the popularity it is. So
I know just the high level things like the performance, safety, memory management, that kind of thing. People love it. Like, do you personally share those opinions? Like, do you have the same love that developers seem to be having online?
So I think there are 2 sides of Rust. One is the problems it solves, which C does not, for example, right? Like memory safety is one where you basically will normally never access a memory which is not legal, right? You will always you can never go and access a memory which is out of array's range, a memory which is already freed or something else. All those problems just can't happen here. And the second thing is it solves a concurrency problem. So in C, you can have a mutex, you can have data, but there is nobody who guarantees that you will always use the locking properly to read the data. These 2 problems are solved by Rust, and these are, I think, the biggest things for me because these are really big problems. Because in big projects, when the bugs come, they don't come in the early days. These are very corner cases which happens once in a lifetime. And when this happens on a real smartphone device, it is very painful and very costly for the companies. So these problems, if they cannot happen at all, it is the best, right? So that is one part of Rust. The second part is the ergonomical part of Rust, where the entire support around Rust, the tool chains, the websites, the books, and it being open source where people can go and update Rust as it is, right? All that stuff is tremendously excellent and is too good to work with. So yeah, these are the 2 sides which I see. I go for the guarantees it provides, which is really really nice.
Nice.
And so this is the presentation you'll be giving at Connect, right?
Right. So this is just introductory session to Rust. So it gives a bit of history why and where Rust started. So it was interesting that it was started by engineer named Graydon at Mozilla as a private project. Eventually, Mozilla liked it and they started funding it, and now it is open source, open governance project, which is out of Mozilla now, right? It is supported by AWS, Google, Huawei, Microsoft, Mozilla. There is a lot of stuff we can talk about in the presentation, but my presentation tries to show people why Rust is so important. The main topics there are, I'll just come to these.
Yeah, Michael Hall, one of our developer evangelists at ARM, is saying, I'm interested in the STD SIMD package. And I'm guessing this is pertaining to...
In Rust, the way it is that the entire code base is distributed. It's not like Linux where everything is in one directory, right? So we have crates, and each crate is independent, but they can talk to each other and use each other's resources. So SIMD is one of the crates which is available in the standard, I don't know what we call it, the standard path or whatever, right? The standard modules. So it is one of the packages which you can use, and I haven't used it much yet, but yes, I'm sure it is a very good one. So coming to the presentation I'm giving, so the most important part where how Rust guarantees the memory safety is ownership. In C, the same memory area can be pointed to or used by multiple resources, right? Different variables can still point to the same memory area, and they can all use it simultaneously. Nobody's stopping you. But in Rust, they solve this problem with the fundamental of ownership, where at any point of time, there can only be one and single owner of any data object. And when the owner gets out of scope, the data will be freed. With this simple fundamental, which makes life of the developer really complex, especially in the beginning 1 month, because they really can't figure out why the errors are coming from the compiler. Though the error handling and the error reporting is superb in Rust, it is very, very, they explain in great detail, but still it takes new people to get around these things, and it is difficult in the beginning, to be honest. Coming from C, especially when you're coming from C. So this is one of
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to ask, are you doing your Linux kernel contributions in Rust, entirely in Rust now, or are you kind of jumping back and forth between C and Rust?
So I do plan to do some Rust code in Linux, but I haven't done any yet.
Oh, okay.
So what we are doing right now are user space applications, which are called backends, Vertire backends. So a guest kernel will access a physical device on the host machine using the Vertire protocol, and to service that, we have something called as a backend in the host user space. That code is what we are writing in Rust, and we have also written vhost user support for Zen hypervisor in Rust. So it is all user space stuff. It is not deep kernel stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, did you want to keep going on your deck there, Viresh?
So I will skip the presentation, but yeah. So the idea is that I'm going to share all these core concepts which make Rust what it is, and it is going to be very useful for people to see why Rust is so special. So somebody tells you that okay, it solves the memory problem, right? The memory safety problem. But that sentence itself isn't enough for people to understand how it solves it, right? Everybody will ask how it solves it. So this presentation is about so to show to the people that yes, this is the way these problems solve, like mutexes or data or concurrency. That's all. So once they go through this presentation, they should go to Daniel and get a full training, I guess.
So go watch.
Yeah.
Idea.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking at yours, and Daniel was saying that unlike his training session, yours will be recorded, whereas his won't. But it looks like both of you are doing a training session, so I'm a little confused. Why would Viresh's be recorded and not yours, Daniel?
So mine will be recorded, but it will not be published.
Gotcha. And Viresh's will?
Yeah. It's ultimately the difference between a conference-style presentation and a training-style presentation.
Okay.
Conferences can be short form, maybe an hour long. The Rust training I developed, for example, is 12 hours long, which means I literally could not fit it into Connect.
I see. Yeah.
try and deliver it all through Connect, nobody will be allowed to go to any other part of Connect. So
yeah, but there might be someone who still chooses to go to your thing for 12 hours. Cool.
Well, it overlaps with my training, so I think people will be more interested in Rust than ftrace this time.
It's possible. It's possible. Are you guys competing? Let me see how many. I mean, like I could pull this up right here. We could see. Okay, so.
Yeah, we're scheduled to go and see each other, but I actually was part of the people arranging for that to happen because we had nowhere we had to put it there. We needed to get Viresh on the schedule so we could talk to people about Rust, and that's when it fits. So
it looks like Viresh is winning, Daniel. You have 17 and he has 22, so you got to step it up. Maybe I'll sign up to yours, Daniel, just to give you another point.
Well, to be honest, I would like to have more people in the ARM64 session. If I'm going to choose one of my sessions to have more people in, ftrace is fantastic. I like ftrace. It's a terrific tool. ARM64 is perhaps more universal. Learning something about ARM64 assembler is helpful for anybody who's going to do any kind of debugging on an ARM system. As soon as you get problems where tools aren't working quite right or you get unexpected behaviors, which will happen less in Rust than most languages, but even so, or you want to do performance tuning or anything else, then being able to read ARM assembler is a really valuable skill. And would you believe that was not scheduled against Viresh? How did that happen?
Yeah, so actually we have that on the docket for discussion today. Which one of you is going to talk about the ARM64 assemblers?
So I'm taking that one. So it's another of the training modules from our commercial set that we are delivering as a kind of bonus extra to people who've registered for Connect. So we're going to cover reading and writing ARM assembly. If I share my screen.
Oh, yes, please.
So that's this one, I think.
Where is you?
There we go. It should be up now. So this is our course on reading and writing ARM assembler. And if I head to the philosophy, I think that's the interesting thing about the course. So the philosophy we put together is that you don't learn all the opcodes. That's not how you learn assembler. You learn to read ARM assembler by understanding the register model, which is the various registers. It's this diagram here. Sorry, let me go back. This diagram here, which shows all the different registers and the widths of accessors you can use on the ARM64 architecture to access the registers. So that's what's called a programmer's model. And once you've learned that and a very small number of arithmetic logic instructions and load store instructions, you are about 75% of the way to being able to read the structure of assembler. You won't know exactly what it does, but you're 75% of the way to understand the general structure. And then once you can read branches as well, you're getting closer to 90%. The remaining 10% is now when you play hunt and peck with the reference manual for the opcodes that you don't recognize or don't understand. But by understanding the structural opcodes, you can figure out which functions which, and then you can figure out which opcodes you need to learn more about from the reference manual. So that's the essence of this particular course and module. And it's got some great kind of basic introductions to it, and it finishes up with some of the sim stuff, which is interesting. Michael was mentioning that, and then on into challenges and lab sessions. So similarly, we'll have lab sessions. If I pull up this is the material we'll be handing out for people to look at. And for example, we have these cryptically named assembler instructions, which are just puzzles. They are, I think they're standard C library functions, implemented in different forms and anonymized. So I've changed the name of the file, I've changed the name of the function. We've then got some assembler that implements a particular C library function. Now I can see this compare branch non-zero and the load byte, which possibly says this might be string manipulation because of what it's doing. I actually can't remember. And I could decode them with a bit more time. But I've got a bunch of them. They're basically puzzles. And that's the kind of finale of the course, is that opportunity to do a little bit of puzzles on the plane, on the way home, whatever else people want to do, based on what's learnt in that course. So, yeah, I think it's a great module.
And that sounds like a lot of fun. I really like the idea of having puzzles essentially to apply what you've what they just heard you speak about.
The other thing I have in the labs that's really cool. So yes, you're right. I hope the puzzles are a good idea. We did push one out on social media a while back as a kind of idea, but we didn't get enough traction on it. I should do that again at some point. So the other thing I have in here is what's called the opcode explorer. So I have a function written in assembler somewhere in here. Divide by 7. So this is a classic assembler trick. It's basically doing division by multiplication. All compilers will do this under the cover for you. If you divide by a constant, they will generate code that looks like this by carefully calculating this number. And then you multiply, and that will achieve divide by 7. In the same way that multiplying by 0.5 is dividing by 2, you can do the same thing with integer man. But I then have the opcode explorer, which allows you to run that fragment of code. So I'm flying up and down because I'm trying to speak lucidly. But it can call that divide by 7 code and show you which registers change as a result of calling it. It literally pre-fills all the registered with kind of undefined values. And then it will call the fragment of assembler and show you what changed. So you can literally do an add on 2 values, 255 in each case, and you can look at the consequences of running that opcode, which in this case is this one here. So when you want to study those exotic opcodes, in this case an add is a relatively dull opcode. But if you want to study some of the more exotic opcodes that change the process of flags, which control how branches work, to be honest, I used this to make sure I got some of the slides in my training right, because figuring out exactly what code changes and how, what flag changes, you could just run this, look at the flags change, and fix your training until you've got it right. So this is another freebie we'll hand out. And I mean, to be fair, if anybody's in the audience and sends an email or something like that, I would probably hand out the opcode explorer to anybody who's interested in playing with it. It's just a good little toy. So while I have talked about the training being somewhat private, you know, I'm aware that not all the audience is going to be here at Connect. So if people want to ping me, daniel.thompson@linaro.org, and say, hey, I'm so interested in that opcode explorer you showed me, I'd be very happy to hand that out to anybody who does get in touch.
That's really cool. And you know what it makes me think of is the what is it? The regular riddles or what was it? The challenges. Was it that David would bring up every Linaro Connect? Who was the one who would bring all those every Connect? We would have a challenge to solve, and there was a prize at the end of each Connect. Who did that?
Yeah, it was Dave. Yeah, Dave, definitely. The second name will come to me shortly, like around the Lava Lab.
It starts with a P. I think his last name. Is he still there?
No. I hope I'd remember his name, but I should remember his name anyway. I'll be honest. It's killing me that I can't come up with it.
Yeah, no, me either.
But
so then we're not going to get those challenges anymore.
I very nearly got involved in setting challenges, yeah, but I'm so busy running the training, I don't have time. So yes, I did come up with a coding competition. We were going to try and judge it, but because it needed subjective judging, you needed judges with enough time to do the judging, and I didn't. So I hope to bring that to a future Connect, but I couldn't do it in time for this one.
Okay. Yeah, so every year, Pinoy, darn it, I can't think of his last name. But yeah, so anyways, every year this guy David would bring a challenge, and they would announce it during the keynote, I think, at the beginning of every Connect, and it would usually be on like the pamphlet for the event. So like there'd be some like weird like combination of letters or numbers, and you had to solve it doing something. And a lot of times it actually involved like some historical knowledge, and then you had to use some sort of like code base or library or something. You had to know something to solve this. And then the people who emailed the answer to him, the first one would get the first prize, and there'd be like multiple prizes you could get. They would announce it at the end on demo day or something like that.
Dave Piggott.
Piggott!
I knew it would arrive.
Yes. All right. Yeah, there you go.
No, I love hearing things like that, because it's the type of thing. Yeah, I'll shamelessly steal that idea at some point, and because it's such a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, I couldn't quite do puzzles that abstract. It's just not my thing, but it was hugely popular.
Yeah, he came up with some good stuff, and he got a lot of submissions. Yeah, it was popular. All right, cool. Well, I mean, geez, like I'm super excited. Daniel Viresh, like I can't believe it. I'm going to be in London next week or the week after that for Linaro Connect. I'm going to get to see you guys. I hope I get to buy you a beer or you buy me a beer. I'm not sure how it's going to work in terms of the whole ARM Linaro thing, but whatever it is, I hope to have a beer with you guys. And of course, I hope to maybe see one of your sessions or both of them and just kind of like reminisce and talk about, you know, the last 4 years and how everything's been and, you know, talk about the families and work and all sorts of cool stuff. So, you know, you look great. It sounds like you're doing great. Is there anything else you'd like to share with any of the viewers watching now and or later, you know, before we close this out?
I'll go for the humble brag, shall I? I will also be briefly on the stage during the services keynote. So services has a keynote, services show and tell. And the idea is services does so many cool things. And a lot of the time we can't talk about them because we're under contract, NDA. We're doing cool stuff, but we have to keep quiet about it. There are some projects where we can talk about it because it's working in public. Quite often it's in the customer's interest that we promote it. So we're taking some of the things we can talk about that and putting it on the stage on Friday morning. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is my favorite 12 lines of Rust and why I think they're so lovely. So
that's awesome. That's great. And so in terms of all of those things, you know, if you're watching at home and you haven't already signed up to check out Linaro Connect, the virtual aspect, because there is a virtual aspect, make sure you check that out. Go to linaro.org/connect and catch Daniel on any of these particular you know, sessions or keynotes where they're streamed and or available on demand. What about you, Viresh? Is there anything you want to share, shameless plug or promote before we close this out?
So yeah, I have 2 presentations there, and I welcome everybody to come and watch both of them. And for the beers, Linaro's policy is very clear: the members pay, so you pay.
Oh, for the beers, the members pay. Okay.
Oh, he knew that off the top of his
he
head.
did.
He's like, you're paying.
It's been so long since I was there, I can't remember. So I think you're right, though. The members pay. So beer's on me, I guess. Now, you know, I guess the last thing here that I wanted to kind of say is, because I think now it's finally in motion, and this doesn't have to do with Linaro Connect or anything else, but more so just Innovation Coffee, this live stream. Gabe and I finally got approval to get a studio. So after we hang up here, we're going to go drive over to the location that we found, and we're going to go talk with the building manager. And so we're going to be getting a nice little studio. We're going to be setting it up with like this V-shaped desk where me and Gabe will kind of have this is so uncomfortable. Like, look at, I'm like
very temporary solution,
super temporary solution. But so we'll be getting a whole brand new space. We'll have new camera, better lighting, you know, down, up, top, down, 3-point, all that kind of good stuff.
Room for guests if they come on, like if they're in San Diego.
If they're in San Diego, you know, shotgun mics right to our face. There's all sorts of good stuff. So we're really excited about building that out. And so bear with us here while we up our production value and all that stuff. But on the note today, Daniel, Viresh, it has just been a true pleasure. Love seeing you too. And I can't wait to see you both in London. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. And yeah, if you want to interview in San Diego, have a chat to Joe and see if you can get me flown out there. That'd be fine.
I would love that. Yeah, you know, because we're going to have inside this space, we're also going to have like a demo station. Excuse me. So there's going to be opportunities for us to, you know, like a smart TV and stuff where we can actually like hash things out on a screen, a top-down camera where we can actually do some builds. We'll be able to like code stuff live, record live, all sorts of like, you know, post-production content and or live production content. So there's an opportunity for us to, you know, truly build out some interesting things. I might also have budget to bring engineers like yourselves out to participate in this stuff if you help us build content. So Daniel's like, I'm running to San Diego right now.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's definitely great that ARM is helping us, you know, make this happen. And of course, you know, we in turn will be pushing out some valuable content for our developers. So there's definitely some good opportunity there.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of ideas in mind for what we're going to use that space for.
Yes, lots. And so I'm already exhausted thinking about the ideas. But okay, cool. I'm going to close this out. Daniel, once again, Viresh, once again, thank you so much. We love having you here. If you just stick around for just a minute, I'm going to close it out and we're gonna end the stream. All right. Excellent. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Whether you're watching on demand and or live right now, we appreciate you having you here. We know you could have spent this hour doing anything else, but you spent it here hanging out with us. We love it. Innovation Coffee. We do go live every single week at 5 p.m. UTC. Keep that in mind because there's been some confusion internally at ARM and, of course, with our community. Times change globally in different countries and at different times. And so we choose to follow the UTC time zone, the universal time zone. 5 p.m. is unchanging. So you'll always find us if you just calculate whatever your time zone is around the 5 p.m. UTC, you'll find us here on the ARM Software Developer YouTube channel. If you're watching this, you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, feel free to post that inside the YouTube comments area. Anything we talked about today will be provided inside the description. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the ARM Software Developer YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you again, Daniel and Viresh and Gabe.
Just real quick before you do it.
Oh, yes, last thing. What's up?
Yeah, don't forget to remind everyone, join the developer program who hasn't already. Just arm.com/developer program.
And for that matter, Viresh and Daniel, you should probably be a part of that program too, because I'd love to see you in Discord. If you aren't already in our Discord server, would love to kind of keep in touch with you more over there. Are you still IRC buffs?
Such people still exist?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised in the kernel space if there's still a bunch of IRC diehards.
Still on IRC, yeah.
You're still on IRC?
I'm on everything. So.
Yeah, you're still on IRC. Well, if you join that program, we're going to talk about it at Connect anyways, Daniel. I'm probably going to grab your hand and make you use my iPad to sign up, and we'll get you into the program. You too, Viresh. All right? Thank you. All right, y'all, a wonderful day, wonderful week. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.
Peace.